despite some negative sentiment in comparable oils. Canola was down sharply on Thursday while United States markets were closed for Thanksgiving. Chicago soy oil is losing 2 US cents per pound, but European rapeseed is mixed. Crude oil is higher despite a dispute within OPEC over supply cuts. The Canadian dollar is up half a US cent compared to Thursday's close. The January canola contract is up $1 per ton at $697.70, while the March contract is up 60 cents per ton at $701.90. In the U.S., corn is steady, while soybeans and wheat are both in the red. Markets in the U.S. will close at 12:05 p.m. Central Time today. For the weekend of November 16th, 1.4 million tons of 2023-24 U.S. corn were sold for export, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. That was at the higher end of trade expectations. The figure is down 21% from the previous week, but up 16% from the 4-week average. More than half of the corn sold will go to Mexico. Scattered showers have fallen in central Brazil, while the south received a break from heavy rainfall, which will give relief to corn and soybean crops in the country. The March corn contract is unchanged at $4.88 U.S. per bushel. 961,300 tons of 2023-24 U.S. soybeans were sold for export during the weekend in November 16th, down 75% from the previous week and down 47% from the 4-week average. In addition, 9,000 tons of 2024-25 soybeans were sold to Japan. Soy meal sales were 203,600 tons, while 2023-24 soy oil sales totaled 300 tons, as well as 400 tons of 2024-25 soy oil to Canada. As growing conditions in Brazil improve, areas of Argentina will see rain next week. The January soybean contract is down 13 U.S. cents per bushel at $13.43. U.S. wheat export sales were weak once again, totaling 171,800 tons for the week ended November 16th, near the low end of estimates, down 3% from the week before and down 41% from the 4-week average. However, China purchased 110,000 tons of soft red wheat on Wednesday. In addition, 25,500 tons of 2024-25 U.S. wheat were sold to Panama. Snow and rain are in the forecast Sunday for the U.S. Central Plains. Dryness in Australia has improved the quality of the country's wheat crop, which is expected to total 25 million to 28 million tons. The March Chicago wheat contract is down 8 U.S. cents per bushel at $5.77. The March Kansas City hard red wheat contract is down 11 U.S. cents per bushel at $6.13. The March Minneapolis spring wheat contract is down 6 U.S. cents per bushel at $7.22. That's a look at the ICE futures in U.S. markets for Friday, November 24th. In Winnipeg for MarketsFarm.com, I'm Adam Polishati.
Equip yourself with the best deals of the year during New Holland's Value Bonanza, going on now at Butler Farm Equipment in Fort St. John. Get 0% financing for 60 months or choose big cash back on select mid-range tractors, including Workmaster Utility, Power Star, and T5 and TS6 models. Whatever the task, these versatile tractors get the job done. Work smarter with year-end Value Bonanza savings at Butler Farm Equipment in Fort St. John. Stop in today. Offer ends December 31st.
For commercial use only, customer participation subject to credit qualification and CNH Industrial Capital Canada Ltd approval. Standard terms, conditions, and other restrictions apply. Down payment may be required.
The opinions expressed during this show do not represent those of this station. If you've missed any of this show, you can follow the podcast at energeticcity.ca. Now, an in-depth look at the news and information shaping our community. This is Moose Talks with your host, Doug Craig, on Moose FM.
Good morning. Welcome to the show. A little later on, we're going to be checking in with Inspector Anthony Hanson, the Fort St. John RCMP Detachment Commander. We'll be talking about the perceived rise in crime we've been watching lately in Fort St. John with the Problem House in Triangle Park, the alleged scammers who are going door to door, all that good stuff in just a bit. But we're keeping with the theme because RCMP have been active in the news, however you want to call it, in Dawson Creek recently. So to talk a bit about that and to get his take on things, we're going to talk to the MLA for Peace River North, Mike Bernier, right now on Moose Talks. Mike, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Dub, and I hate to correct you, but it's Peace River South. I don't want to have people confuse me with Dan Davies.
Oh, did I say Peace River North? My mistake.
You know what? It's not the first time. Dan and I deal with that in Victoria all the time, too.
My apologies. If this was my morning show, I'd play the loser sound effect from Price is Right. But anyway, we're more serious than that on this show.
Mike, you're not the first and you're not the last.
Well, Mike, I appreciate your time today. I wanted your take
course.
on this
Thank you.
because, of course, you gave an interview to Energetic City earlier this week talking a bit about what you've seen and heard. And, of course, you've been a public servant in Dawson Creek now for, it's 20 years, I think, since you were first elected to city council and then mayor and then now MLA for Peace River South. Tell me a bit about kind of what you've heard and kind of what you're seeing in terms of, what the RCMP is telling you with what's going on in Dawson Creek right now.
Yeah, I mean, if you take it back a couple of years, we've seen progressively it's been getting worse in our community when you see the not only the petty crime, but a lot of the serious crime, the open drug use on our streets, a lot of challenges that we're seeing in that avenue, and there's been a lot of frustration building up, and I think that has led to what I hope and what I'm seeing is a very serious, proactive approach, I guess somewhat reactive in a way too, approach from our RCMP, who have really in the recent couple of weeks really stepped up going after a lot of these repeat prolific offenders, some of these well-known parts of the criminal activity in our region, trying to put a stop to it. People have been frustrated, rightfully so, and I'm just glad to see, I'd like to know if it's actually an increase in crime or are we just seeing more of it being dealt with by the RCMP. I think it's a bit more of the latter, to be honest. It's why we're seeing it on social media, why we're seeing the public talking about a lot of the recent very visual activity. The RCMP have been doing raids, going after these guys, and that's a great thing. We want to see that. We want these people off the streets.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, this the Citizens on Patrol group has been fairly active in Dawson Creek, and I'm forgetting my timeline. I want to say the last year. It might be a little bit longer than that even. I mean, what have you kind of heard about them and how that's going and their work with the RCMP?
Yeah, it's starting to come to fruition. The Citizens on Patrol in Dawson Creek, the South Peace Rural Crime Watch, as well as the Citizens on Patrol, have been active for a long time. And some of these people have been around decades, but we really did see a slowdown in interest and support on the drive-arounds that they were doing. But because of the changes we've seen over the last couple of years on our streets, it kind of sparked people to get back involved. We've seen some well-intentioned business people, some city councilors who have stepped up and are volunteering with Citizens on Patrol. Kyle McDonald, one of our local councilors and local business guys, saw it on his Facebook when I looked this morning. They were out patrolling just last night again. Work all day and then grab a coffee and try to keep our streets safe. So, it's great to see. It's unfortunate we have to do it, but it's great to see that those groups are trying to work with the RCMP as well to try to just be extra eyes and ears out there and try to deter some of this criminal activity.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that comes up in my interview with Inspector Hanson, which we're going to see in a bit here, is social media and sort of the impact it has on. Again, I think he called it, at least in Fort St. John's sake, a sort of a perceived rise in crime. I mean, let's kind of look back to sort of when you were first elected as a city councilor in Dawson Creek and then served as mayor right around when social media was really just starting up. What do you see as the impact that social media is having on, again, this sort of perceived rise in crime that may or may not be happening and how people are interacting and able to get out right away how they're feeling about situations or even what they're seeing happening on the street?
Yeah, and I think what you've touched on is there's good and bad with social media. It's been a huge tool in a lot of ways to try to disseminate information as quickly as possible. But then, of course, it can start up the rumor mill without facts, and it's hard to sometimes understand where the truth lies in all of the information that is being shared on social media. But in recent days, if I can go to that, we've seen a huge change on the use of social media, and now we're starting to see a lot of our RCMP detachments using it as well. So case in point was just last week where we had a lockdown basically in downtown Dawson Creek where the RCMP had chased and surrounded an individual, and for public safety, they were almost able to immediately put out a Twitter and Facebook post saying that stay away, we've got it under control, but we want the public safe. And within 5-10 minutes, I was seeing that being shared around on Facebook. Of course, it starts the gossip mill, which is part of it. But I think the best part is when we can get the facts out and share that information as quickly as possible. It really helps not only keep our community safe, but helps people understand what's really truthfully happening in the work the RCMP are doing.
Mm-hmm. I'd say like 99% of the news we hear in terms of crime has to do with like Fort St. John and then Dawson Creek in that order, at least kind of where we are. But of course, you have Chetwynd and Tumbler Ridge, two other towns kind of in your constituency. Same sort of question, Mike. I mean, what are you hearing from, the politicians there, your constituents there in terms of, again, crime in general on the rise?
Yeah, it's I think it's typical of what we see. The larger centers kind of attract a little bit more of the larger criminal activity, but small communities like Tumbler Ridge and Chetwynd are definitely not immune. There is some drug activity that takes place in those communities. I've been watching and hearing about still some of the break and enters or crime that takes place. Thankfully, knock on wood, to my knowledge, there's been nothing really serious in those smaller communities, but it is bringing concern because things move along and move into these other communities at some point. South Peace Crime Watch, through our Citizens on Patrol, is looking at starting up a chapter. Actually, I think it's next week. I'll be part of a meeting today for Chetwynd because they want to get the community more involved and active, and they're going to work under the umbrella of the Dawson Creek Citizens on Patrol because the same thing. They want to have good law-abiding people in our communities that want to be proactive and keep their communities safe. And again, it's unfortunate when we get to that, but it's great to see people stepping up and trying to assist. And so looking forward to seeing how that progresses in Chetwynd as well.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting you mention another Citizens on Patrol. I know there's a group that's started up in Fort St. John that's similar recently as well. And I guess this is more of a philosophical question for you, Mike, but do you think it's good that there are groups like Citizen on Patrol forming just in general, even if in the immediate sense, it's sort of a reaction to what we're seeing in terms of crime in our community? Do you think it's good that regular citizens are helping to essentially help police our communities and not just letting the RCMP kind of deal with everything?
I think the more eyes, the better. So we have a couple of different elements here. We have the formal citizens on patrol that work directly with the RCMP, who have that conduit. But we've also seen in Dawson Creek and I believe Fort St. John down here, they call themselves the Citizens Take Action Group, which is a lot of local concerned citizens and business people who are independently out of that out there. They hold their own meetings. They're more eyes and ears on the ground, and they've been trying to advocate and be out there basically, I guess for lack of better words, promoting that, this criminal activity is not welcome and we're going to do everything we can. And I've talked to these groups. In a perfect world, they wouldn't be needed because the RCMP would be able to handle everything because the criminal element would be small enough. But we need to remember our detachments can only do so much. When you look at some shifts that might only have 3 or 4 people on an 8, 10 hour, 12-hour shift, that's why I'm always out there reminding people, if you see something, phone 911, phone the RCMP. We need to have that information and data because you never know what that will do to help in the future. Because the problem is people are frustrated. RCMP are trying to do their job, but our criminal justice system is breaking down and these people are just being released right away. And I think that's what's creating a lot of the angst and frustration with these, law-abiding citizens. They're saying that they just want this to end. Mm-hmm.
Well, Mike, we'll have to leave it there for now, but I really appreciate you taking some time to give me your take on this. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, absolutely. My pleasure. And we'll talk again, I'm sure, soon.
Absolutely. That's the South Peace MLA, Mike Bernier, joining us from his office in Dawson Creek. We'll be right back to talk to Inspector Anthony Hanson with the Fort St. John RCMP Detachment right after this on Moose Talks.
Black Friday starts at Nevada Bob's Golf. Get an early start on your Christmas gift giving and save big. The entire selection of men's and ladies' jackets are 30% off. And 20% off the entire selection of golf shoes with top brands like Skechers, FootJoy, and Adidas. Save $50 on all golf bags and push carts. But it doesn't stop there. Make sure to visit them today for more Black Friday savings. Nevada Bob's Golf, where Christmas shopping just got easy. Your game, your store.
A $50 gift certificate for participating downtown Grand Prairie merchants and a free pass to Northern Spirit Light Show at Evergreen Park.
It's the Grand Winter Package, available at Grand Prairie Regional Tourism Association's DMF Hotel, The Sandman. Weekends only through November and December at the Sandman Hotel.
Luxury awaits at the newly renovated Sandman Hotel. After a day of shopping, relax in your room's walk-in rain shower, or take a dip in the pool and dine at Denny's or the Bar One Lounge. Enhance your stay with the Grand Winter Package. Visit the Sandman Hotel website.
When you think about shoe repair, you obviously think about Rips Shoe Renew. They've been repairing shoes in the piece since 1979, and they completely understand wanting to save your favorite footwear instead of replacing them. So bring your well-loved shoes into Rips to see if they can be repaired. And if they can't, Rips Shoe Renew has a great selection of Merrell footwear for men, women, and children. Save your souls at Rips Shoe Renew in Dawson Creek and online at ripsshoerenew.com.
Get your kitchen holiday ready with Brad's Furniture and Appliances. The Black Friday deals are on now, and all Frigidaire Gallery and Frigidaire Professional appliances are on sale. Plus, buy more, save more. Buy two, save $150. Buy three, save $300. On now until November 29th. For more Black Friday deals, visit bradsappliances.ca. Brad's Furniture and Appliances in the Northgate Mall and also on Facebook. Better call small.
Hey, do you want to play a game? Reverse That Song is here. Guess what song is playing in reverse for a chance to win a $50 gift card to So Sweet Cafe and 250 Pizza each week. We'll play a song in reverse at 2:50 weekday afternoons, so make sure you're ready to call in and make your guess. Good luck and have fun.
Monster Madness! Presented by Peace Country Toyota. Monster Trucks! The hottest show on the planet in Dawson Creek. Offensive Event Center. Saturday, May 4th. See the world's best monster trucks in action. Plus, see freestyle motocross performed by the stars of the FMX World Tour. Tickets on sale now! At the Offensive Event Center box office or online. Monster Madness! Dawson Creek, Saturday, May 4th. Be there.
Watch this show live on Facebook or download the podcast at energeticcity.ca.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Dub Craig. We're talking about crime on today's show because there's been a lot of RCMP releases about things happening, news stories, of course, at energeticcity.ca, and a lot of talk about it on social media. So we thought we'd talk to the person in charge of the local RCMP detachment about the situation and whether we're seeing an actual rise in crime or only really a perceived one. So I sat down yesterday with Inspector Anthony Hanson of the local RCMP here in Fort St. John. Here's that conversation. Inspector Hanson, welcome back to Moose Talks.
Thank you very much for having me.
So tell me a bit today about this seemingly busier year than normal you guys have had. I mean, it seems like we've had businesses being broken into downtown. Of course, that problem house in Triangle Park, and then the kind of the gun crime that's been around that. There was a robbery at Winks late afternoon last week. I mean, it just seems like a lot is happening recently. In general, what's your sense? Do you agree with that sentiment, or is it just kind of, perception? Does it feel like it is more, but it's not actually?
The latter. It feels like it's more, but not actually. So it's important to remember that, for 2.5 years during COVID, with, the different measures that were taken and whatnot, and the very large slowdown in the industry, in the energy industry, our file count, our reported calls for service dropped by 20% from previous. So in 2019, we responded to just over 13,000 calls for service. And at the end of 2022, we had responded to just 11,006 calls for service. So 2,000 calls less, right? And that was across all our, we call them crime types, like across all the different types of events that we are called to or investigate. Well, and a lot of that happened because the population decreased for that period of time and whatnot, right? Now, what's occurred over the last year is we're returning to more historical norms. So, again, 2019, over 13,000 files. In 2015, Fort St. John RCMP responded to 15,500 and some calls for service.
Wow.
So we are not as busy as we've been in the past. However, and this is simply my opinion, people's perceptions, I think, have been changed, perhaps forever, by the pandemic, by what we've dealt with. Social media again has really changed the public discourse. Now people have access to all sorts of media in real time. A lot of it is not necessarily verified media, and people are able to put their own opinion or their own thoughts directly into the public sphere, which is great. However, it's not always factual, right? So I can tell you that in terms of the statistics of the crimes that we're dealing with now, we are well within the historical norms for Fort St. John.
Okay. Now, you mentioned kind of different, I think you said crime types or areas or whatever. From what you could tell, is it kind of similar even in sort of, if you break it down, like, say, gun crimes or robbery or however you kind of do it? Are you still seeing the same sort of historical levels, or does it seem like there's more gun things happening because there is?
No, there are not more gun things happening. Canada, thankfully, very safe country, fairly still stringent, gun laws. So gun crime definitely attracts attention, say, far more than in the United States.
Yeah.
Like the robbery the other day was not committed with a firearm.
Yeah.
Right. Most of our robberies are not committed with firearms. Are we seeing a change in the gun crime? We are, in the sense that we're seeing more 3D printed guns, right?
Oh, okay.
So guns that are, or at least pieces of the gun that are manufactured privately and then fitted to a receiver or whatnot. So we've done several firearm trafficking files in the last few years around that type of file. But in terms of guns being used for crime in Fort St. John, no, we're again within the historical norms for Fort St. John. And in fact, 2022, Fort St. John's crime severity index, I believe, was about 173, 174, and Dawson Creek's was 203, right? So despite the fact that Dawson Creek is half our size.
Yeah.
So, Fort St. John is receiving good policing, good quality policing service. We target the prolific offenders. Have some things changed? Sure. We're now sort of managing our way through the decriminalization process that the government has undertaken, which has changed greatly many of the tools that police had to enforce drug crimes. It's quite frankly taken away some of the techniques that we used to use, because now people are legally able, over the age of 18, to carry up to 2.5 grams of hard drugs. So that's changed the techniques we had in terms of drug investigations, or looking even certain techniques we used to move into like trafficking investigations from the street level.
Yeah.
So we are working with the federal prosecutors who do drug crime to try to adapt to that, right? And again, the police don't make policy. We serve at the behest of the democratically elected politicians, and so this is what the province wants, so we are adapting to it. But it is a change, and it does affect drugs in the community. That's a fact, So we've pivoted some of our resources elsewhere to deal with that. However, the drug trade is still very much present, and the drug trade is what drives a lot of violence in any community, right? It's a lawless trade. It's about the dominance of the strongest, and firearms are always involved.
Yeah. Now, I did want to mention this specific incident where a few weeks ago it was Diwali, and I guess some fireworks were set off kind of in celebration of that, which is a Diwali tradition. And a lot of people, again, on social media thought, oh, shots fired, it's happening near here. And I mean, very quickly it came out that, no, this is what it actually was just fireworks. Yeah. Did that surprise you that so many people were suddenly calling about that being... this might be gun?
No, and that's always happened.
Yeah.
I mean, a police officer for 23 years, and that was occurring 23 years ago, and that's fine, right? I mean, it's, It's very difficult to discern the difference between fireworks and different calibers of firearms, and most people really have no concept of what a firearm sounds like when it's fired. You know, like many people do, but many people don't. And especially when it goes off in the evening, you know, it concerns people, and that's fine. And we investigate. You know, that we had a report of a shots fired earlier this week in a neighborhood, and we flooded the area, and we've done extensive neighbor canvass and video canvass, and haven't been able to confirm that if it actually was a shots fired, right? You know, but we've done our due diligence on it. Right?
Yeah. I one more thing on kind of sort of gun-related crime. The problem house in Triangle Park, again, social media, people talking about why can't we deal with this? What's the yada yada, this sort of thing. I wanted to give you a chance to sort of break down why this seems like such a problem, why it's so difficult to deal with. You can't just go in there and arrest everybody and boom, problem solved, right? It seems like a situation that's been, at least people claim, has kind of been ongoing for years. So can you talk a bit about why that situation has been so difficult to deal with, and why maybe, you know, kind of the situation, at least from a policing standpoint, why you can't just solve the problem like that?
Yeah, certainly. So, you know, in Canada, we live in a democratic society with a constitution and a charter of rights. And the charter of rights applies to every citizen, including the criminals, including people who are involved in illegal activities, right? We all have the same rights, and that's a good thing, right? I personally wouldn't want to live in a society where some people had rights and others don't, and there's plenty of those around the world. So there's really several factors involved when you're dealing with locations where crime may be occurring, right? One is dealing with the crime that's occurring at the location, and that's where the police are obviously heavily involved, and, you know, conducting investigations, potentially writing search warrants. I mean, we've done several search warrants at that location for different things, and then dealing with whatever crime we're investigating, you know, be it stolen property, be it violence, right, be it guns, right, and dealing with the mechanics of that. That is separate from the actual dwelling house or apartment or warehouse or location, right? That requires different tools, you know, potentially to deal with. And again, the person who owns the property, and oftentimes, I mean, I'm not going to speak about this event, but
sure.
Often I've dealt with files in the past where the landlord or the owner wasn't even aware what was going on, potentially, right? And again, one of the cornerstones of our society is the right to own property. So taking property from someone is a very high bar. It involves often both the criminal justice system and the civil court system to do it, and it takes a long time. And you have to have a fair amount of evidence. Now, British Columbia, about 10 years ago, brought in the Civil Forfeiture Act, which has made it easier to do that, but there's still a bar that has to be met in terms of that. And then the city has also brought in a bylaw for nuisance properties, which has a fairly good track record. It's been utilized to deal with some other properties that were causing the public safety concerns quite successfully. So, I mean, in a nutshell, that's what we're talking about, right? Is dealing with not only what's occurring at whatever given location, but also the location, right? And they're two separate things that are interconnected, and they require the work of several different agencies, not simply the police, in order to reach a closure, and it will take years. And that's the reality of it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I've got one final thing I wanted to get your kind of take on, and it's the perceived scam that was going on with Red Cross and UNICEF canvassers who were in the neighborhood. Some people, again, on social media, claiming they were asking for money. They didn't think they were really there. What's going on? Again, RCMP very quickly came out and said, well, no, we know they were supposed to be there. They told us they were going to be there. As far as we know, this is not a scam. First of all, have you heard more on that? If there was maybe people out who were also trying to scam people while doing that? Like, what's kind of come of that investigation?
Well, it's not an investigation.
Yeah.
So we're notified by legitimate enterprises before they begin to canvass. They usually have ID with them. Often they wear vests now. Like, these organizations are very much aware, right, that there are many scams that are played, and they also realize that people are more suspicious than they used to be, and that's rightfully so. And they also realize that, again, social media feeds just as much rumor and innuendo as it does legitimate information, right? So, no, those were legitimate people, to our knowledge, and we have no information that there was an alternative set of individuals attempting to scam people.
I see. Okay. And when you hear about this, like, was it a call you got from somebody that there's a scam out there, or did you notice on social media that this was happening and said, let's make sure that everything's kind of good here?
No, we receive calls from the public.
Yeah.
We don't actively monitor social media. We don't have the capacity for that.
Yeah.
And I know some people might find that strange, but I'm not going to take an employee and have them spend all day monitoring social media. If we have a reason to monitor it, we have that ability, but we don't spend all day doing it. So no, it was a call from the public, but we had already been notified by the agencies several days before, right? And usually the municipality is notified as well.
Okay. Well, Inspector Hanson, Tony, I really appreciate you taking a few minutes to chat with us about all these things going on. Thank you for your time today.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Again, that was Inspector Anthony Hanson, the RCMP Detachment Commander here in Fort St. John, joining me yesterday in studio. We'll be right back to wrap things up on Moose Talks right after this.
Black Friday continues at the Brick. These incredible deals are only available until Sunday. Like 60% off sofas when you buy the matching love seat or chair. Up to 25% off dining and bedroom. Up to 50% off mattresses. Up to 35% off home entertainment furniture. And up to $900 off big screen TVs. Plus, buy more, save more. Get up to $300 off select major kitchen appliances. Some exclusions apply. See thebrick.com for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Get the equipment and trucks you need at Ritchie Brothers' next Grand Prairie Unreserved online auction, November 29th to December 1st. Choose from over 2,300 items, including a wide selection of excavators, wheel loaders, dump trucks, pickup trucks, and much more. Don't miss Ritchie Brothers' Grand Prairie Unreserved online auction, November 29th to December 1st. For more details, visit rbauction.com. That's rbauction.com.
Black Friday deals are on now at Brad's Furniture and Appliances. Find amazing deals for every room in your home, including the laundry room. Right now, save $150 on all Electrolux laundry pairs. These awesome Black Friday savings are on now until November 29th. Check out all the Black Friday deals at bradsappliances.ca. Brad's Furniture and Appliances in the Northgate Mall and also on Facebook. Better call small.
The golf course may not be open, but our pro shop sure is. Hi, Victoria here from Lake Point Golf and Country Club, where our pro shop is open now on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Stop by and purchase your membership or wrap up some golf gear for that golfer on your list. Plus, Lake Point is the only authorized Lululemon dealer in Fort St. John, and we have a huge selection of Lululemon gift ideas, including clothes, crossbody bags, and more. Lake Point Golf and Country Club. Check out our Facebook and Instagram pages or swing by the lake.
Get ready to kick off the holiday season with a heartwarming tradition. The Co-op Community Christmas Concert is back. Join us for a magical evening with local musicians playing your Christmas favorites. But that's not all. Every penny from your ticket goes to support the Women's Resource Society. It's the season of giving after all. Don't wait. Get your tickets online now at moosefm.ca for only $15 and be part of something truly special this holiday season. The Co-op Community Christmas Concert. Spreading joy, music, and love this Christmas. Get your tickets at moosefm.ca today.
The Co-op Community Christmas Concert is supported by Trican Well Service, Step Energy Services, and North Peace Veterinary Clinic.
Every month, your furry friend can win a $100 credit to the North Peace Veterinary Clinic. All you have to do is get the perfect pose of your pet and upload it from the 1st to the 14th at moosefm.ca/win. On the 15th, voting starts, and by month end, your fur baby can be crowned Pet of the Month.
Moose FM and the North Peace Veterinary Clinic want to see all your fluffy, scaly, and feathery pets every month. moosefm.ca/win to enter.
If you're looking for a peaceful place to escape, stop into Peaceful Pages. They're pleased to offer a quiet space for you to sit and read, catch up on some work, gather with a couple of friends, or even have Bible studies. Peaceful Pages Christian Bookstore on 101 Avenue in Fort St. John.
Moose Country weather.
A beautiful Friday with a high of 4 degrees and mainly sunny skies. A chance of flurries later tonight with a low of -3. Those snowflakes are going to carry right out until tomorrow morning with a high of 2 degrees, a mix of sun and cloud and snow. And on Sunday, high of 1 degree, mix of sun and cloud.
Our community first. This is Moose Talks with Dub Craig on Moose FM.
Our thanks to our guests Mike Bernier and Inspector Anthony Hanson for joining us today. If you'd like to hear this episode again, or if you'd like to hear an old, excellent episode of Moose Talks, make sure you check out the energeticcity.ca podcast page. You'll find past episodes of this show there, along with all episodes of Secrets of the North, Before the Peace, and Voices of the Peace there, archived for your listening pleasure. Take some time to listen to some excellent locally produced podcasts today at energeticcity.ca/podcasts. Well, that's our show. Jordan Prentice and Trey Lopashinsky are the producers of Moose Talks. I'm Dub Craig. Be well.
Join us next Friday at 10 a.m. for another episode of Moose Talks, a weekly talk show about Fort St. John and the North Peace.